So hi, I'm Lalith Rajan from GEP. I lead the consulting and services business for GEP here in the Asia PAC. So very pleased to meet you today. Look, when I think of myself, I think of my roles as a practitioner and a consultant. And my interest in is really solving problems for all my clients, irrespective of labels that they ascribe to it. So if I think of my achievements here in GEP so far, I think there have been a few. I really want to try and drive our brand, our reach and relevance in the region. So that's something which is very important for me. I think we have a great value proposition, and I want to take it to the clients. The second one that I'm really concerned about is our solutions that we come up with. How relevant are they? How advanced and cutting edge are they? So I really invest in trying to bring the best of what we have to offer to our clients. AI is basically impacting all the client's processes in two separate ways, right? One is whatever existing processes we have, there is a way to look at each of those sub-steps involved in that process and finding out which ones are most manual effort intensive. And then we have AI, a list of AI technologies around, computer vision or some automation through robotics, for example, or machine learning or cognitive computing, which can help us reduce that effort and then be able to kind of, remove the amount of time taken to do that exercise. So that is just existing applications that we have, but being done more smartly, more efficiently, and so on. So that's one axis in which I look at things where AI is improving life already. The second one is around finding new things to do. And I was giving the example, say, for a banking client, if they are looking at TPRM, third-party risk management, it's a very specific, very context-driven topic. And what we can do is then we can have a very clear pathway, a very clear workflow around that, and get AI to then solve specifically that particular problem, which hitherto didn't actually was covered under a general S2P solution. So this is a special way of doing something which is very, very specific to a client or to a sector. And that's something that is new capability which is added because of the use of AI. We've been serving a large industrial client across the globe, right? And if I kind of walk us through the entire source to pay cycle, we've been doing a lot of changes, and a lot of it is driven by AI. So one of the first things is just getting the spend and analytics and intelligence, and that's powered by our AI tool. So that's something which comes with really, really sharp answers. The second one, if I go forward, is setting up the intelligent category management. So this is like a very, very customized window for category buyers and so on, where we can get all the information ranging from spend, e-sourcing activities, contracting activities, and market information, news feeds, and so on. And the beauty of it is now our AI solutions can go parse that entire volume of data and come up with fairly prescriptive answers on what the strategy should be. So that's been very exciting. Moving along, there's a ton of things that we've done on our e-sourcing side to try and come up with better suppliers, to try and improve the way in which we evaluate our strategies for the e-sourcing, the way we evaluate responses, and that's been again very compelling. And finally, even when we execute these things, there is now a very, very clear way forward with guided buying solutions, which are again in terms of user friendliness, in terms of customizing to our requirements for the users. It is something which is again very spot on, driven by AI. Right? Final thing is reporting itself is revolutionized, and it's been very evident in the way people now consume information. We have a thing called GEP Assist. We've got help desks which are driven by AI, and that gives a lot of transparency to people which they otherwise didn't have. We could probably, from my previous discussion, just take one of those things, right? Let's take, for example, e-sourcing as such. It's been around for a while. It's an e-procurement tool which has been there from the 90s, right? But what we've done there is, really solve for user friendliness. We've been able to kind of identify the most useful suppliers to be found, not just within your AVLs, but across that in the market itself. Being able to bring them to a qualified status to be participating in the auction. So that drives more competitive tension among the bidders. And then the strategies that we use to design the RFQs and then run scenarios on how we will evaluate the responses. So for example, we could cherry pick across. We could decide that we want to have a strategy which is about 70-30, L1 and L2. We could change the strategies and say we want to have some people who are minorities, for example, minority owners, to be part of this particular solution at the end state. So there could be a host of things which drive value for you, which we could then use to set the scenarios in which we will evaluate the responses, right? And then when the responses come, we are able to kind of drive best of benchmarking. We're able to get the AI to summarize the results and provide the award decisions also. So that's again a lot of activity which would have taken a chunk of the time of our practitioners, which are now immediately kind of made more efficient while being very intelligent, very relevant to our clients. So when it comes to responsible acquisition of AI, right? I like to think of three things. So first one is impact. Second one is around risk. The third one is around ethics. So these are the three lenses that we apply. A lot of these AI solutions are still evolving, so we are not sure exactly how the black box works and whether we'll get exactly what we want, right? We may get one or two answers right, but do we get it consistently is a big question. So there is a term called hallucination, whether there are actual mistakes in the AI's answers, and that's something that we need to be watchful about. There's also a bit of toxicity which kind of comes through, because again, where they pick up things from, they could actually become quite discriminative to certain sections and so on. We need to be careful about that, whether the tone is changing or the attitude or the way the AI is approaching the problem is non-neutral, and we need to be aware of that, right? So that's one part of it. That's the impact side. Second is risk. When we are interacting with some of these enterprise LLMs, we are putting a lot of information out there. We need to be careful about how we share information, and that we make sure that we have protocols to not share confidential data, so that there is no information leakage which is happening from here to there. So that's one other part around it. The third one is around ethics, and that's important because we need to make sure that whatever we design is following our ethical standards. We're not violating trust, we're not violating confidentiality. Sometimes there are data from other customers and clients. We want to be absolutely sure that there are very clear Chinese walls around that. And so, just in terms of design, we need to lay out a very ethical way of doing business. And again, this is just one part, but again, depending on which parts of the community we touch, we also need to be sure that we are kind of respectful and we don't violate any regulations or laws around that. So for example, PII data is one area. There could be again certain things around minority groups or certain supplier groups who are at risk. So we just need to be careful and sensitive about these things and make sure we have strong protocols in place to not violate any of them. I think that if I think about the two things, one is the opportunity to meet people who are like-minded. So there's a huge networking opportunity out here, and that's just amazing. It's the largest event of its kind in Asia. That's what I like about it. On the second feature which I really like is it's like a sounding board. They're all very, very smart people who attend this conference, and when you kind of try out your ideas, when you pitch them to people, you get an immediate response, you get a sense of what is going to work, what is not, what is interesting and what is not, and so on. It's a very, very valuable exercise for me to have that in the 2 days that we have here.